Chapter 2. I don't believe this, Josie stammered, staring at the card. What is it? Steve asked, turning away from the window. It's a valentine, Josie replied, holding it up. From who? I didn't send you a valentine. He made his way across the room to her. It isn't signed, Josie told him, but it's disgusting. She shoved the card into his hand. Here, read it. Steve took the card from her and examined it. There was a satiny red heart on the front. He opened it up. The printed words had been crossed out with a black marker. Written underneath them in blue ink was a short rhyme. Steve read it aloud. Violets are blue, roses are red. On Valentine's Day, Josie will be dead. Steve stared down at the card for a moment, scanning the rhyme again, silently this time. Then he closed the card and grinned at Josie. It rhymes okay, he said. She gave his shoulder a hard shove. Who cares? Can't you take anything seriously? His smile faded. He looked hurt. You don't think this is serious, do you? He demanded, rubbing his shoulder. It's too dumb. Josie pulled the card from his hand and glanced over the handwritten message again. I don't know how to take it, she said. I mean, it is stupid, but it is a threat. It can't be serious, Steve said, putting a hand on her shoulder. It's just someone's idea of a joke. What kind of joke? Josie demanded heatedly. I mean, what's the funny part? I don't know. I don't get it, Steve said. He picked the torn envelope up from the table. No return address. He put the envelope back and turned to her. So who sent it? I don't know, Josie said, staring at the card. Probably Jenkman. Jenkman. Yeah, probably. He's such a creep, Josie said, frowning. He still calls me, still pesters me. He can't believe I broke up with him. He can't believe that I don't want to go out with him again. You think he sent this? Steve asked. You should see the way Jenkman stares at me in school, Josie continued. Like a hungry puppy dog. Mr. Pitiful. He follows me, staring at me, like I'm supposed to feel bad or something, like I'm supposed to care. Calm down, Steve said softly. How can I calm down? Josie snapped. I broke up with him 5 months ago, and now he sends me this dumb thing. Is he crazy or what? You know what I think you should do, Steve said seriously. I think you should ignore it. Huh? Ignore it? Yeah, don't mention it to anyone. Pretend you never got it. That's what I do. Josie tossed the card down on the table. I suppose you're right, she said, sighing. You're so sensible, Steve. That's me, he replied brightly. Sensible Steve. She leaned forward and gave him a quick kiss on the cheek. Now, let's get out of here, he said, smiling. And no more talk about that stupid valentine. Josie started to reply, but before she could get a word out, pale white hands reached out from behind her, wrapped themselves around her throat, and started to choke her. Chapter 3. Josie gasped and spun away, breaking loose from her attacker. Rachel, she cried, don't do that! Rachel laughed, her hand still outstretched as if preparing to strangle Josie. Her olive eyes sparkled gleefully. Rachel, that wasn't funny. Stop laughing, Josie said firmly. Obediently, Rachel cut off her laugh, as if a switch had been flipped. Still staring at Josie, she lowered her hands, then shoved them deep into the pockets of the loose-fitting brown corduroy jumper she wore over a pale yellow long-sleeved t-shirt. Erica, where are you? Josie called angrily. I thought you were watching Rachel. She rubbed her neck where Rachel had grabbed it. Hi, Rachel, Steve said timidly. Rachel didn't respond. Erica ran down the stairs, a troubled expression on her face. She was followed by Luke Hoskins. Here you are, Erica said softly to Rachel. You got away from us, didn't you? You were supposed to be watching her? Josie said crossly, narrowing her eyes suspiciously at Luke. Luke was tall and lanky. His shoulders were always stooped, as if he were trying to make himself shorter. He had short, light brown hair, neatly parted on the left and brushed to the side. His slender, nervous face was framed by silver-rimmed glasses. A tiny gold ball glistened in his right earlobe. He and Rachel had been going together for more than 2 years before her accident. Since that terrible day, Luke had been a constant visitor in the McLean house. He seemed as devoted to Rachel as before, even though she seldom responded to him in any normal way. It's my fault, he admitted to Josie. Erica and I were talking about something, and we didn't see Rachel leave the bedroom. Well, you know she can't be out of your sight, Josie scolded shrilly. She rubbed her neck. She nearly strangled me. Rachel laughed, tossing her head, her long red hair catching the light from the ceiling. She was just playing with you, Josie, Erica replied heatedly. You could give her a little attention, you know. Erica's voice revealed her bitterness. Rachel picked up the stack of mail from the table and stared at it as if trying to figure out what it was. Put that down, Erica said gently, taking the envelopes from Rachel's hands. No mail for you today. She tenderly put a hand on Rachel's shoulder. No mail for me? Rachel repeated, her voice nearly a whisper. She turned to Josie. Brush my hair, she said. No, Rachel, Erica replied before Josie could speak. I just brushed your hair, upstairs, remember? Steve and I are going to the mall, Josie interrupted impatiently. I'll be back in time for dinner. But you promised, Erica wailed angrily. If Mom gets home, tell her I'm going to look out for that pattern she wanted, Josie said, ignoring Erica's protests. Hold on, Josie, Erica insisted, still holding on to Rachel's shoulder. You promised you'd watch Rachel this afternoon. I told you I had to study for my social studies exam. Sorry, some other time, Josie said coldly. You said that the last time, Erica complained. Brush my hair, Rachel said insistently, seemingly unaware of the argument taking place. We just brushed your hair, dear, Erica said softly. Then her expression returned to one of anger as she glared at Josie. You're always running out and leaving me with Rachel. You and I are supposed to take turns. You know we can't afford help for her during the week. I'll take my turn. Don't worry about it, Josie said with a sneer. When? Erica demanded shrilly. Brush my hair, Rachel said, her hands jammed in the back pockets of her jumper. If you want, we could go to the mall tomorrow, Steve suggested to Josie. Shut up, Josie snapped. We're going now. She pushed past Rachel and Erica to get to the hall closet. Out of my way, I'm getting my coat. This isn't fair, Erica cried. You stick me with her every day. I have no life, Josie. Josie swung back angrily, her eyes aflame, raising a finger to her lips. Shh, Rachel can hear you, you know, Erica. Watch what you say. You'll hurt her feelings. Erica uttered a loud shriek of disgust. Don't tell me about Rachel's feelings, she screamed. Since when do you care about Rachel's feelings? You haven't spent 10 minutes with her since... That's not true, Josie snapped back, her voice trembling. Erica's right, Luke said quietly, stepping up beside Erica. You really haven't done your share, Josie. You keep out of it, Josie replied angrily. You're not in this family. I know that, but I can see what's happening here, Luke said, his expression troubled. I can see that. Muggy interrupted, yapping in his high-pitched squeaky voice, his toenails clicking across the floorboards as he ran up to them. Josie scooped him up and pressed his black nose against hers. It's okay, Muggy, she said, holding the dog close to her face. Did all this shouting upset you? It's okay, doggy. The dog licked Josie's nose. Josie glared at Erica. Look how you upset Muggy. Erica uttered another cry of disgust. Josie, you care more about that dumb dog than you do your own sister, she accused. That's not true. Take that back, Josie demanded, holding the terrier against her chest. Look, Rachel said, holding up the stack of envelopes, which she had picked up again. Mail for me? Steve appeared in the doorway behind her. He had gone into the den with Rachel when the yelling began. She seems fascinated by the mail, he said. Mail for me? Rachel repeated. She held the envelopes high in one hand, showing them to everyone. Rachel doesn't get mail anymore, Erica whispered sadly. Maybe she misses it. Some of the envelopes fell from Rachel's hand and fluttered to the floor. Erica dropped to her knees and began to scoop them up. She stopped when the satiny red heart of the valentine caught her eye. What's this? She asked Josie, holding it up. You're getting a valentine 5 days before the day? Read it, Josie told her sister. Maybe you can figure out who sent it to me. Huh? Erica's expression was confused. Still on her knees, she opened the card and read the verse aloud. Violets are blue, roses are red. On Valentine's Day, Josie will be dead. Erica glanced up at Josie, even more bewildered now. To everyone's surprise, Rachel began to laugh uproariously. She laughed so hard she started to cough. Rachel, that isn't funny, Erica said softly, staring at the card as she climbed to her feet. Rachel immediately became silent, but her eyes continued to reveal her merriment. After a few seconds, she burst out in high-pitched giggles, covering her mouth as a little girl would. This is really gross, Erica told Josie, waving the card in Josie's direction. Tell me about it, Josie replied, rolling her eyes. Who would send such a horrible thing? Erica demanded. Just one of my many admirers, I guess, Josie said dryly. She pulled her coat from the closet, then grabbed Steve's jacket and tossed it to him. Let's go, she said, avoiding Erica's stare. Erica was still holding the valentine open in her hand. She raised her eyes from the card to her sister. I really don't believe this, she said, shaking her head. See you later, Josie said, pulling her coat over her shoulders. Steve followed her down the hall, and a few seconds later, the front door closed behind them. Erica heard Muggy whining and whimpering by the door. He always did that whenever Josie went away. A few seconds later, he gave up. She heard his tiny paws click away in the direction of the living room. Brush my hair, Rachel insisted, a strange, unreadable smile on her face. An eerie, ghost-like smile. Brush my hair. She looked so pretty in the dim hall light, Erica thought, staring at her older sister. With that beautiful hair and those big olive eyes and that pale, pale skin. She looks like an angel. She really does. Erica uttered a loud sob, quickly muffling it with her hand. No, she thought, I promised myself. I promised myself no more tears, no more crying, no more. Brush my hair? Rachel asked, as if she had never made the request before. Okay, Erica told her. Let's just put down this mail, and then we'll go back up to your room. I don't believe Josie, Luke muttered angrily. His voice startled Erica. She had nearly forgotten he was still there. He stepped toward her from the shadows of the dim hallway, and she was startled by the bitter expression that twisted his normally placid features. I don't believe her, he repeated, his eyes wide with anger, behind his silver-rimmed glasses. She should help out. I know, Erica said, dropping the mail onto a table in the den, then taking Rachel by the hand. She should do her share, Luke continued. She was responsible, after all, for Rachel's accident. Erica stopped short. She was shocked by Luke's words. She had never heard him talk like this, so angry, so frighteningly angry. Just then a burst of laughter escaped from Rachel. She pointed at Luke. You look funny, she told him. Luke forced a weak smile, but Erica could see that he was still seething. Funny, Rachel said, laughing. Luke forced himself to laugh too, but when he started to laugh, Rachel stopped. Taking Rachel by the hand, Erica began to lead her to the stairway. Luke followed close behind. In a glance, Erica saw that his bitter expression had returned. Why do you say it was Josie's fault? Erica asked. You know, he snapped, the saddle. Josie fastened Rachel's saddle. She could have killed Rachel. She nearly did. And now Josie doesn't care at all. They climbed the stairs in silence, Erica too shocked by Luke's words to respond to them. I had no idea he resented Josie so much, she thought, as she led Rachel to her bedroom. No idea. No idea that he carries around so much anger. Of course, he did lose his girlfriend because of the accident. He did lose Rachel, and he blames Josie for it. So why does he still come around all the time? Why hasn't he found a new girlfriend? Why does he spend so much time visiting Rachel? Erica wondered. Sometimes Rachel seems glad to see him, Erica observed, but most of the time she doesn't even remember who he is. Erica led the way into Rachel's dark bedroom and clicked on the bedside lamp. Rachel took her usual place, sitting on the edge of her double bed, her pale hands pressed against the dark green bedspread. She closed her eyes and waited patiently for Erica to begin brushing out her long, straight hair. Luke sat down at the chair by Rachel's desk, folding his slender arms over his chest. Why did he come? Erica asked herself, picking up the hairbrush. If he's so bitter and angry, why does he come? Then, glancing across the room at Luke, Erica had a chilling thought. He's here for revenge against Josie. Luke is the one who sent the valentine. Chapter 4. Is it ever going to stop snowing? Josie asked herself. It was Wednesday afternoon. The snow had come down all day, a blizzard of large white flakes adding to the white piles already on the ground. Josie hitched her backpack up on the shoulder of her blue down jacket and stepped out of the school building. The sky was charcoal gray, even though it was only 3 o'clock. Heavy gray clouds hovered menacingly low. The front walk hadn't been shoveled, and Josie's boots sank deep into the fresh snow as she made her way toward Park Drive. Swirling winds sent powdery snow flying around her as she walked. She swung her maroon wool scarf around her neck and pulled it up over her chin. The big trees near the street shook in the breeze, sending down a silent shower of fresh snow. "Hey, Josie, wait!" Recognizing her sister's voice, Josie turned back toward the school. She watched Erica trying to run, stumbling over the slippery walk, her coat unfastened and flapping out behind her. She looks like a big clumsy bird trying to take off, Josie thought cruelly. Erica isn't as pretty as Rachel and me, Josie realized, with a bit of sympathy. Her face is too round. Her hair is that mousy light brown. She could lose some weight, too. "Josie, where are you going?" Erica cried breathlessly as she caught up to her sister. Breathing hard, she wrapped her coat more tightly around her without zipping it. "Erica, what's your problem?" Josie asked. "Why are you screaming like a lunatic? I'm going to meet Steve." "You can't!" Erica cried. She tried to stamp the snow off her boots, but it was useless. "Sure I can," Josie said softly, glancing at the street where several Shadyside High kids were blocking traffic with a spontaneous snowball fight. "I'm meeting him at the corner?" She motioned with her head toward her favorite hangout, a few blocks away. "But you can't!" Erica insisted shrilly. She started to say more, but someone behind Josie caught her attention. "Look, there's Jenkman," Erica said, lowering her voice, "over by the side of the school, trying to get your attention." "Who cares?" Josie snapped. "He's coming this way," Erica reported. "He's waving at us." "Thrills and chills," Josie said sarcastically. "Hi, Josie," Jenkman called from a few yards behind her on the walk. Josie pretended not to hear. Jenkman came closer. "Josie, how's it going?" She continued to ignore him. Erica saw the hurt on Jenkman's face. "Josie, I just want to talk," Jenkman said, stepping up beside her. Josie turned her back on him. Erica saw Jenkman's face turn bright red. He uttered a loud curse and hurried past them to the street. "Wow," Erica said, following him with her eyes. "Wow, was he mad." "He's a creep. What do you want?" Josie demanded impatiently. "I'm late." "You have to take care of Rachel this afternoon," Erica said, grabbing the sleeve of Josie's coat. "I told you this morning I have Brigadoon tryouts. You know, for the drama club." "You'll have to try out some other time," Josie said brusquely. She started to pull away from Erica, but Erica held on. "No way," Erica said angrily. A gust of wind made the powdery snow swirl all around them. Josie closed her eyes and tried to slip her face down into her wool scarf. Go away, she thought. Please, just go away, Erica. "You're supposed to help take care of Rachel when she gets home from her school," Erica scolded. "You know that, Josie. It's not supposed to be my full-time job." "I know. Give me a break," Josie said, starting to walk toward the street. "I'll take care of her tomorrow. Promise." "No, today," Erica insisted, following her. "I don't want to miss the tryouts. It's just not fair. This is my first year in high school. It's supposed to be such a big, exciting year for me, and instead—" "Tomorrow," Josie told her, picking up her pace. "I can't leave Steve waiting there." "Yes, you can," Erica told her. "You can call and leave a message for him." "I don't want to," Josie said nastily. She began to jog across the snow. Erica caught up to her. "I don't believe you, Josie," she cried breathlessly. "I can't believe you don't take more responsibility for Rachel. After all, it was your fault." Erica stopped herself. Uttering a silent gasp, she raised her hands to her face, as if trying to hide behind them. She realized she had gone too far. She had no right to say that. She could feel her face grow hot. She knew she was blushing. She should never have said that. It had just slipped out. Slowly, she lowered her hands. Josie was glaring at her. I'm sorry," Erica stammered. "I didn't mean—" She waited for Josie to say something. A loud thud startled her. To Erica's horror, Josie let out a painful squeal. She watched Josie's eyes go wide, her mouth drop open. Then she crumbled to the snow. Chapter 5. Erica stood frozen for a long moment. The world went white as the snow that surrounded her. When the colors returned, she bent to help Josie. "I'm okay," Josie declared, raising a gloved hand. "Help me up." Erica heard laughter behind them. She turned to see Dave Kinley with a snowball in his hand. Melissa Davis was beside him, embarrassment clear on her face. Several other kids, spread out over the school's front lawn and into the street, were tossing snowballs at one another as fast as they could make them. "A snowball hit me on the back of the neck," Josie told Erica, climbing to her feet. "I was so stunned I fell." She brushed the clinging snow off her jacket and jeans with both hands. Then Josie turned angrily to Dave. You're not funny, Kinley, she called angrily. Dave gave her an exaggerated shrug, a wide grin on his face. Sorry, Josie, my hand slipped. He laughed at his own feeble excuse. Several other kids laughed too. Melissa turned away, avoiding Josie's stare. Dave continued to stare back at Josie, the snowball in his hand, as if challenging her. Josie wanted to say something, but stopped herself. She turned away angrily from Dave and tossed the end of her wool scarf around her neck. I'm going, she muttered to Erica, and hoisted her backpack to her shoulder. Why should I waste my breath on that creep? Hey, wait, Erica cried, slipping on the snow as she tried to chase after her sister. Erica saw Jenkman then, out of the corner of her eye. He was leaning against a tree, half hidden by its snow-patched trunk. She realized he was staring at Josie, staring at her with the strangest expression on his face. Hey, Josie, stop, Erica called. When she glanced back, Jenkman had disappeared. A snowball flew over Erica's head and landed with a soft plop on the snow-covered sidewalk ahead of her. I'll stay with Rachel tomorrow, Josie shouted back without stopping. I'm late. But my tryout, Erica wailed. She uttered an exasperated groan. Josie pretended not to hear her and continued down the block, half walking, half jogging. Shaking her head, unhappy that she'd have to miss tryouts, Erica headed back to the school to get her backpack. She glanced at her watch and realized she'd have to hurry. Rachel would be home soon. What's your problem, Dave? Melissa asked as soon as Josie and Erica were out of sight. Huh? What do you mean? He grinned at her, his dark eyes flashing. With long, scraggly black hair down to his collar, small, round eyes, and a bent nose, Dave wasn't exactly handsome, but he had an easygoing, happy-go-lucky attitude, a warm, winning smile, and a great sense of humor. It was his sense of humor and his playfulness that attracted Melissa to him. They'd been going together for nearly 6 months now. Why'd you throw that snowball at Josie? Melissa demanded. Dave's grin widened. Because she was there. No, really, Melissa insisted, kicking at the snow with her boot. I don't know. Dave struggled to zip his brown leather bomber jacket all the way to the collar. It was a difficult job, since he was wearing gloves. I just hate her, that's all. Melissa let out a bitter laugh. I don't think so. I think you still like her. She stared into his eyes as if challenging him. Huh? No way. I think you still care about her, Melissa said. I think you threw that snowball because you wanted to get her attention. That's stupid, Dave muttered, glancing away. She couldn't tell if his cheeks were pink from the cold or from blushing. Admit it, you still like her, Melissa insisted. No way, he replied heatedly. After all that Josie's done to me, you know, I'm the first guy who ever dumped her, and she's been on my case ever since. You dumped her? Melissa exclaimed. That's not the way Josie tells it. She tells everyone that she dumped you. Whatever, Dave muttered, making a disgusted face. He tossed the snowball he'd been holding down at his feet. That was months ago, he said. He narrowed his eyes at her. Why are you sticking up for Josie? She dumped you too. Dave's words stung. Melissa felt a wave of sadness sweep over her. She used to be your best friend, Dave continued, bending to pick up another handful of snow. Then she dumped you like she dumps everyone else. Okay, Melissa snapped. You're right. Let's forget Josie. Fine with me, Dave said, softening his tone. He rounded off the snowball and heaved it at the nearest tree. It made a satisfying thunk as it splattered against the trunk. I'll never forgive Josie, Melissa said, her voice breaking. I'll never forgive her for blaming me for Rachel's accident. Melissa couldn't force Josie from her thoughts. It's just so unfair, she continued, watching Dave pack another snowball between his gloves. Josie acts as if she had nothing to do with it. She was the one who fastened the girth on the saddle, not me. Just because she asked me to check it. Calm down, Dave said, throwing his latest snowball at the tree. This time he missed. Don't get started. You know what Luke Hoskins told me? Melissa continued, ignoring Dave's suggestion. Luke told me that Josie is mean to Rachel. She refuses to pay any attention to her and doesn't spend any time with Rachel at all. Does Luke still go over there? Dave asked, sounding surprised as he slapped his gloves together to get the snow off. Melissa nodded. Yeah, poor guy. He's really messed up. He can't believe that Rachel will never be Rachel again. I ran into him yesterday after school. He was on his way to her house. That's when he told me how awful Josie is being. Dave sighed bitterly. Luke and I should form a club, an anti-Josie club. We could get together and swap stories. You remember what happened at Christmas when Josie's dad was going to give me a job in one of his hardware stores? All of a sudden, just before vacation, he called and said he couldn't use me. Just like that. So I had no job over the holiday. and I really needed the money. I know Josie had something to do with it. I'm sure she convinced her dad not to hire me." Dave's face was bright red now. He quickly made another snowball and heaved it at a passing truck. It smacked the side of the truck, and the driver honked his horn. "We've been over that 1,000 times, Melissa said, frowning. "You're being totally paranoid. Josie didn't lose you that job. She had no reason to." Dave started to protest, but Melissa cut him off. "No more talk about Josie," she insisted, suddenly concerned by Dave's anger. She scooped up a handful of snow and playfully shoved it into Dave's face. He cried out, startled. Then, laughing, he lunged at her, wrapping his arms around her waist, and tackled her to the ground. Let go, stop!" Melissa cried, laughing. They were wrestling in the snow when they heard the crash, the unmistakable sound of shattering glass. Melissa climbed to her knees. Raising her eyes toward the school building, she saw Jenkman staring up at the second-floor classroom window that had just been smashed. Even from so far away, Melissa could see the satisfied grin on Jenkman's face. He must have broken the window with a well-aimed snowball, Melissa realized. Suddenly, a head poked out through the large jagged hole in the window. Melissa recognized Mrs. Powers, the Spanish teacher. "Who threw that?" Mrs. Powers shouted down angrily. "Not me," Jenkman called up to her, shrugging, a wide grin on his face. He turned and began to walk away, taking long, loping strides, snickering to himself. He passed by Melissa and Dave without seeming to see them. He was still chuckling about the smashed window. "Jenkman's another candidate for your anti-Josie club. He's scary," Melissa said to Dave in a low voice, watching Jenkman walk through the middle of the snowball fight that was still going on down by the street. "He's like a bomb about to explode." Dave had an unusually thoughtful expression on his face. "Who isn't?" he asked, with surprising bitterness. Josie glanced at the grandfather clock in the hallway as she entered the house, a little before 6. She shivered as she stamped the snow off her boots. She pulled off her backpack and jacket and tossed the jacket over the banister. "Muggy? Oh, there you are!" she called as the white terrier came bouncing down the stairs, whimpering with glee. Josie scooped him up in her arms and allowed him to lick her face frantically. "Hey, you're tickling me!" she cried, laughing. The lights were all on upstairs. Erica and Rachel must be in Rachel's room, she figured. "Hey, Mom, are you home yet?" Josie called. No reply. Her mother worked such long hours at the phone company, and her father was always on the road, checking on one of his chain of hardware stores. Josie sighed, realizing she hadn't seen him for 4 days, and with the heavy snow everywhere, he probably wouldn't get home that night. Josie hugged herself, unable to cast off the chill from being outside. The intercom speaker on the hallway wall crackled. Josie could hear Rachel's voice through the crackling. She seemed to be laughing about something. There were intercoms all over the house in case Rachel, up in her room where she spent most of her time, wanted or needed anything. Josie knew the intercom was useful, necessary even, but it gave her the creeps. All that crackling, all the voices, so distant yet so near, as if there were ghosts, invisible lives being lived deep inside the house. Rachel is a ghost now, she thought, and shivered. Such a cold thought. Should I go up to see her? Maybe later. Josie carried her backpack into the den. She clicked on the light and dumped the backpack on the desk. The den was warmer than the rest of the house. The radiator against the back wall rattled and steamed. Normally, Josie found it a comforting sound, but now the rattling sounded to her like bones tapping against the wall. Standing beside the desk, she started to unzip the backpack. Just then, Luke burst into the den, his eyes wide behind his glasses, his slender face red with anger. "Oh, hi! You're here!" Josie greeted him coldly. "I'm here, and you weren't," he said sharply, not trying to cover his anger. "Give me a break," Josie muttered, turning her attention back to the backpack. The zipper was stuck. She forced it, trying again. "How could you do that to Erica?" Luke demanded. "How could you make her miss her tryout? Do you know how upset she is?" "I'll bet you're going to tell me," Josie said. Her sarcasm made him even angrier. She looked up at him and saw his face turn scarlet, saw the blood pulsing at his temples. "Then, when you do come home, you don't go upstairs," Luke said, narrowing his eyes accusingly. "You don't even check on Erica or Rachel. You're so selfish." His words caught in his throat. "Listen, Luke," Josie started. "That tryout meant so much to Erica," Luke continued angrily. "This was supposed to be an exciting year for her, but thanks to you, she's missing out on everything. I'm sorry," Josie said, unable to conceal her impatience, "but that's enough lecturing, okay? She shook her head, frowning. Really, Luke? You're not my father? What happens in this house is none of your business? Luke took a few steps into the den, balling and unballing his fists. He glared at Josie, too angry to speak. Enough of this, Josie thought, feeling her own anger begin to rise. I don't need any more lectures from this skinny creep. What's your problem anyway? She cried, the words bursting out. She slammed the backpack against the desk, knocking a silver letter opener to the floor. My problem. Luke's expression remained frozen. Why are you still hanging around, Luke? What do you think you're going to do here day after day? Why don't you get a life? The hurt on Luke's face told Josie that she had gone too far. Stung by her words, he stepped toward her, hands clenched into tight fists at his side. Let's just calm down, she suggested, raising a hand as if signaling for a truce. It was too late for a truce, Josie saw. Luke was too angry. You ruined Rachel's life, he screamed. Now you're trying to ruin Erica's. You're so selfish, Josie. So unbelievably selfish. Something inside Josie snapped. I haven't ruined anybody's life, she screamed. I haven't. You know what your problem is, Luke? It's real simple. You're a loser. You're a total loser. You come here every day, acting so good, so superior, pretending to be such a hero, so much better than everyone else, but you're just hiding. You're hiding behind Rachel because you're too big a loser to face the real world. The words exploded from her, and when she finished, she was panting noisily for breath, her chest heaving, her hands gripping the edge of the desk as if she were holding on for dear life. With a single cry of fury, Luke lunged at her. In a quick motion, he bent down and picked up the silver letter opener from the floor. Luke, please, no! Josie screamed.